Apparently, Trump spent a good deal of time, half an hour or more, just one-on-one with Keir Starmer without any of their aides. And we're told that that is where they discussed foreign policy issues, including the issue of recognition of Palestinian statehood. And after that, during that press conference, when they were asked about it, Keir Starmer came out with perhaps his most robust statement condemning Hamas, which presumably is something maybe Donald Trump had demanded of him in that private meeting. But he held firm on this idea of recognition of Palestinian statehood. It's been reported in the Times that that is due to come pretty much as soon as Donald Trump has left, which has now happened. It's expected perhaps this Sunday. Those are the rumours going around. Of course, what this means is that the UK is at odds with the US on this. Donald Trump even said in that press conference, rather nonchalantly, this is something we disagree on. But Marco Rubio in recent days has been far more determined and explicit in how he's put it. He said that this will encourage Hamas, it will bolster Hamas, and it will also mean that Israel is likely to take actions of its own which try to stop the idea of Palestinian statehood, even if it's being recognized internationally in this way. But having said all that, Keir Starmer's been under a lot of pressure within his own party, with a third of his cabinet apparently pushing him for this recognition, and over 100, I think, members of parliament, 130 Labour MPs who have signed a letter asking for this. So it's understandable that within his own party, domestically, he feels that this is something that he has to do, but that means that he is doing something that US disapproves of.
And if the U.S. disapproves, even if he has the backing domestically, could that put a strain on these relationships? Or what did we then learn? Because the rest of the press conference, Trump said it's actually one of the only things he disagrees with Starmer on. So it seems like that relationship is standing pretty strong as it stands.
Well, Trump was pretty well behaved during this press conference. He didn't do a lot to embarrass Keir Starmer, as he's wont to do sometimes. He did that not that long ago when he was in Scotland, and they held on his home turf in one of his properties there. They held a press conference. This time, he was much calmer, much more conciliatory. If they had disagreements, it was kept for behind the scenes in those private conversations. One doesn't know exactly what it is that they discussed in relation to Israel and Gaza and the recognition of Palestinian statehood. But the hints from Rubio have been that Israel will take its own actions, perhaps applying sovereignty in parts of the West Bank in response to this. And that, of course, follows the line of logic that says that if all these states, including the UK, are choosing to recognise Palestinian statehood in international fora, then Israel will be trying to prevent that from happening on the ground, and that no amount of actual fantasy recognition will actually be able to undo facts on the ground. But what that means is that Britain is effectively pushing Israel to take actions that Britain says it doesn't want Israel to take. This is consistent with what Starmer said back in July when he first said that this was going to happen. The conditions he set then were not on the Palestinians to achieve any level of good governance or statehood in order to receive this prize of recognition. Instead, all of the conditions were upon Israel. There had to be a ceasefire, effectively a surrender by Israel. There had to be a commitment by Israel to an eventual path to a two-state solution and the like. So there was very little incentive, I think, for Israel to actually take Starmer up on this. And instead, things are unfolding as they have to after he made that declaration back in July.
All right, Jonathan Satcher-Doty, thank you very much for giving us your analysis on what we're seeing right now.